Lani Daniels, welcome to Between Two Beers.
Hey.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's going good.
We're very excited to have you in the Export Beer Garden studio today. At the time of recording, we're 3 weeks out from your shot at becoming a world champion in 2 different weight classes, which is incredible. Does it feel like you've got the world in front of you right now?
Not really, to be honest. Feels like I got 2 guys with 6 beers. Like I just feel like I'm just focusing on step by step, like what I've got next. I don't look too far ahead because then I kind of get overwhelmed by it. So I just keep plodding along one step at a time.
Is that as simple as when you're in this time frame? Like, is it day by day or is it hour by hour? Is it activity by activity? How granular do you get with that focus?
Oh, right down to the seconds.
Wow.
Especially in those tough trainings, like they feel like 3 weeks when you're trying to slog it up a hill tired and your legs are like burning and you're thinking, oh my gosh, and you got to just get through it. I think it breaks it right down to moments, seconds.
Well, hopefully a 90-minute podcast isn't too much of a burden for you to navigate today.
It's a lot more comfortable than training.
Yeah. Did we get you out of any training to do this?
Oh no, training always comes first. We literally just finished before we come. I had 40 minutes to get ready and get us here. So John runs a tight ship.
We will hear about that ship as we progress through this episode.
We're going to get into John's ship. It's so cool. I know you're not looking too far ahead. I am. I'm seeing the hype building. This fight's going to be in Northland, headlined by both you and me and Motu, who we've had on the show, who's incredible. And you're both from the far north. And you've never fought there as a professional, neither is Mia. And it's just been announced it's sold out. It feels like the excitement and the hype and the snowball is building week on week. So despite you being granular, I think the community around you is getting pretty excited by it.
Yeah, I think, definitely. Like my socials are blowing up, so I'm actually like putting boundaries for myself in place for that as well. So I'm restricting screen time, just making little steps each step as I go, to not be distracted by the goal, which is to win.
I need to put some of those guardrails in my life. Yeah, what are you doing?
You actually definitely do need to do that.
I loved sort of thinking about, when you do win. I love looking back at the homecoming celebration after you won your first world title in May, and I saw the video of it, of sort of you on the back of a tractor and
trailer.
Yeah, and was it every single person in Pipiwai coming out to celebrate
pretty much, and a few of the local schools. It was actually really cool, and it was cool for everybody to just stop and take a break and come together for something so positive. Normally we have big gatherings like that when someone passes away, so it was real cool to have the community all gather and enjoy that moment of just being together for something happy. I was actually overwhelmed. Like I couldn't believe that they turned up like that. I was thinking, oh no, what if no one comes?
I doubt that. I highly doubt that. It was epic, and it was really, I think, everybody that we've had that's come on this podcast that's from Northland, that calls Northland home, has really strong feelings about the foundation that they gave them. Can you take us back to Pipiwai growing up and your feelings about that place?
I've born and bred there, so I went to our local kohanga reo, our school, primary and intermediate. I didn't really get a glimpse of the real world until I got to high school. And so my world was Pipiwai. I remember going to primary school and would get up to say what we did over the weekend. And I remember I come to Auckland this one time. I must have been 8 or something. And I thought I had gone to the furthest place out of everybody. And then they got up and told me they went to Hamilton. I was like, oh, dang it, they beat me. I didn't know that was possible.
How many people are we talking at primary school?
I think 38, 42, which are I think the numbers are around the same now. Yeah, so we're only a small school, only a couple of classes. Everybody knows everybody. We do everything together. But it was pretty cool back in our time, and I think it's coming back now, with our generation, for our younger kids, is putting activities on. We're always doing something, would have socials, gala days, weekly sports like twilight sports, and the community were like competitive as if it was a world title, like playing for the local cup or something. Like it was pretty cool. Like I think it was so fun, and we actually used to really look forward to Tuesdays and Thursdays. We would get to all go down and hang out and play netball, touch, and volleyball.
Real niche Kiwi question here, but was Bull Rush part of that that recipe of sport that went around up there as well?
Yeah, we used to play it. We'd always used to get banned at school because someone would always
get hurt
and cry.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
it was it was like the broken arm. It's like, guys, we've got to ban it again, and then.
But it will that will only last so long to look like they're doing something. I think
it's such an institution of growing up.
It will wind its way back into us playing it again.
Yeah.
We'll be sneaky and think, try to get away with it. But no, we used to create our own fun. Like back at primary school, we used to play bottle tops. So all the milk lids used to go missing. So it used to get banned because the milk lids from home used to go missing.
Really?
Yeah, but we had hundreds of them. Like would have like ice cream containers full, and like would at least stack them up, and people have to stand behind the line and try flick, and whatever ones that go past and miss you get to keep.
Yeah.
And if they get the stack, they win the stack.
Yeah. We played that with marbles.
Yeah.
But slightly different demographic.
We tried marbles, but it was hard to get our hands on them.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you make do with what you've got around you, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel lucky to have grown up in that community? Like community like that is so powerful, and not a lot of people get to experience that. Do you feel grateful?
Yeah, I feel blessed. As like I didn't realize it as a kid. Like I wish I was like grew up in town and had shops and things like that, and had flash things and not hand me downs. Tarsio roads. But I think it was something that like we learnt to make do with what we've got, and I think those are life skills that I've just been naturally taught, that I don't think about things, and I think that's what's made training camp a lot easier, is just we do what we got to do, and it's not like a hindrance not having all the big flash fancy things.
I love that you mentioned that you're starting to see those elements coming back into kids' lives these days. That makes my soul kind of happy to think about the simple pleasures compared to all the distractions that kids have these days as well.
Yeah. I think that like I just missed the like phones and stuff that kind of come in my last year of high school. So prior to that, it was like we didn't have it, so you had to like
talk to people.
Yeah. Where now it's like everybody's like looking down at their screens, and it's awkward because you like meet people online or they follow you, and then it's like you don't even like say hello in human. It's like it's weird. It's weird. Yeah. It's just different, I suppose. It's different to what we grew up being like.
The lost art, lost art of communication and being able to talk to people. So I've got 4 young kids, and my house is a zoo. And so when I saw that you were one of 9, I was like, oh man, I need to hear about that childhood.
Yeah, so I can't imagine putting 5 more on your situation.
Yeah, it's nuts. So you were 6th of 9. Like, what was that dynamic like with your brothers and sisters growing up?
I think it was cool. There was always something happening, and our house was like the go-to, so it wasn't just us 9, it was all my cousins and the locals as well. So we always had to play outside. Like that was kind of a thing. My mum would always kick us out, and we had to just go make fun outside. But it was cool because we had heaps of people to do stuff with. So yeah.
Did you have the burnout pad back in those days?
No.
Can you explain to us what that is? Because it was in my notes, and I don't even really know what that is. And then my follow-up question is, once you've explained it, can you drop a fat skid?
So about 7 years ago, I think we've had the burnout pad there. So it all just started with like little hacks around the paddock as time, and it would just be like $1 entry, and whoever can go around the fastest. And my dad just used to host these like little things to do. And it just grew, and he fundraised to buy a burnout pad, and then it just evolved into that. And now it's like we get people from all around the country coming up to participate in our annual event. on the 2nd of January.
Yeah, good shout out. Good shout out.
Yeah, 2nd of January, whānau.
And will you be entering? You didn't answer my second question.
I've entered a couple, but this year it seems like, because my friends, they had, so this is like about our community. They just finished a fundraiser for our local school, and they did a burnout comp, and one of my best friends jumped on and had a turn, and she's hooked. So we're going to possibly enter, make a women's division section.
Yeah, nice.
All the girls. But then I was just thinking, I don't know why we should split it. Maybe we just go in there as one.
I feel like there's no need to differentiate. You either can or you can't skid.
Yeah.
And you haven't answered my question. Can you or can you not skid?
Yeah, I can.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Dean said that we can take his car and I can do one on his Mustang.
Love to see.
Can you skid, Shay? You done
cannot.
a burnout?
I cannot. I'm hand on heart. Have absolutely no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
So if I'm invited, I'd love to come up and learn.
Come.
We spoke to Mia Motu in the build-up to this ep, and I want to read what she said about you. She said, "I'm proud to share this journey and experience with Lani. I see the sacrifices we go through together, and being able to support each other is amazing, and it's made me idolize her even more. I'm excited to hear her story and learn more about her journey because she has a beautiful one. She's a beautiful and kind-hearted woman, and she's definitely someone I look up to." Listeners of this show have a strong connection to Mia. We talk about her and her story a lot. But what's it been like for you working so closely with her?
Oh, I think it's been awesome, and I think I couldn't have been blessed to do it with a better person. She looks up to me, I look up to her, even though I'm like taller than her. But I just think she's so strong. Like what she's been through, I just think far out, man. It's just so tough, and I just think like we had our pōwhiri up north as part of some of the promo mahi that we did up there, and I was just thinking, oh, I'm so grateful I have you here, because then I would have to hold all this weight by myself. So it's so really, really good to have someone by your side that knows what you're going through and has to deal with a lot of the pressures as well. So it just lightens the load. Having someone as strong as her doing it with me.
It's an incredible time in New Zealand sport to have two such strong, positive and Māori role models from the same part of the country. It's like maybe a once-in-a-lifetime kind of a moment. It must fill you with strength to be walking side by side with Mia, and considering your achievements also are matching one another, it's just an amazing time for the sport and for sport in general.
Yeah, I think it's something that, I think with two of us doing it, it's only going to create more momentum, because I think we wouldn't reach as much people by ourselves. So I think doing it together, we're able to reach more people. And for me, and I know for me as well, it is about our people at the end of the day, and it's about doing good so that other people can see what we're doing and that it's possible, regardless of where you come from, what you've experienced in life. Anything's possible with a bit of hard work and determination. Yeah. We
asked Mia what we should ask you, and she's given us a few things, and I don't know the answer to the first one, but she said, ask her who her biggest role model and idol is that she looks up to in life and boxing, and why. I'm not sure if she had someone in mind or she knew the answer, but that's what she suggested we ask you.
Who my biggest
idol is the person you look up to
in life.
Yeah.
And then she added, and then in boxing. So I don't know whether those two things are separate, whether we're looking for two people. It's your interpretation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, for me, mine is probably my sister. I don't even like talking about it because I'm actually quite soft. But I think she's just she's amazing. Like, I got into boxing because of her. I got into nursing because of her. She's always helped me out. And she's always believed in me when I didn't think I could do anything. And she's always just pushed me not to quit. So many times I've just it's too hard, I can't do it. And she's always just been there no, you can. And so I think, my sister.
This is your sister Caroline, right?
Yeah.
You followed into boxing.
Yeah.
Amazing answer.
And my mum. I just think I've been blessed to be brought up with these strong women. I don't know how I ended up being so strong, like in terms of boxing. But I don't think I could have done it without their role model, their example, because they're just so strong. Like, that's who I would want to be like.
Amazing.
I want to be like my sister and my mum. Just the way that they hold themselves, the way that they care about others. Like my sister comes off quite blunt. Like she's like, if you didn't know her, you'd be quite intimidated with her because she's quite a staunch girl. But I actually think she's got probably one of the softest heart out of all my siblings, and so giving. But at the same time, so loyal. Like if you cross that bridge, you better watch out. Like, you know. But yeah, I don't even know if that answers.
No, I want to pause for a moment there, and like Mia's description of you being kind-hearted and having a beautiful soul has just come through immediately in terms of your answer and your immediate response. And I think if you can't see it, listeners will immediately feel that love that you have towards your family in an instant situation, which is incredible when we're going to compare and contrast this beautiful soul that you have to your job, which is getting into the ring and getting into confrontational situations. So I think it's going to be an amazing character study on who you are and what makes you tick. But Mia had a second question while we're on family.
I just wanted to pick up there, like you talk about, I think it's just having strong female role models is so important. And while you are looking up to them, there's so many people looking up to you because of what we're about to talk about and where you've got to. So it's, there's this cool sort of like circle of life happening. But the second thing she suggested we talk about was your dad. And she said, I have nothing but respect for her dad, an amazing person, such a kind-hearted man, and I love how he stands by her side wherever she is, and he's always with her right by her side in the corner. Can you tell us about your relationship with your dad?
My dad's, he's the man. Like, if I had 3 role models, he'll be the 3rd. But yeah, he's always just supported us from day dot. He's just really, really... He's probably the kindest person I know. He's willing to give anything he has to help whānau, including our wider whānau. He loves home so much, and I guess that's rubbed off on us and all my siblings, because I know we all feel the same about Pipiwai. And he's got that real just, you can't tell him he can't do anything because he'll show you, actually, yeah, I can, like getting the burnout pad.
Having 9 kids.
Man's
got my respect.
Like he just makes anything of anything. He can make anything. Like he built us our gym when after my first pro fight. He was so excited that he built us a gym. He's our local bishop at our church, of the Mormon church in our community. He's been growing up in our earlier years, he was our bishop for about 7 years, so through my high school years, and he was released, and he's our current bishop at the moment, so he's done quite a long leg as being the local minister or bishop, but he's definitely a well-respected man within our community. If anybody needs help, they know where to go, and he's always willing to offer a hand and be helpful. And I know he'll do anything for me and my family. He'll do anything for anybody, really.
and the final one that Mia suggested we ask about is how proud you are to be Māori and your connection to Te Ao Māori. Yeah. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I'm so proud to be Māori. I was born and bred it. I've been a bit humbug in terms of using my reo. Like I grew up at Koanga Reo. I know, it's hard to explain what I know because I feel sometimes like I don't know enough because I can't speak the reo fluently. Just don't talk about me because I'll know what you're saying. But I was born and bred at like going to our local school whenever there was a tangi or something on at the marae, because it's all kind of right next to each other. We would always go over as a school and support whatever the kaupapa is. And yeah, I'm just so blessed and grateful to have been brought up as I was, because it just helps me make more sense of life, and I think that you can't go wrong, like just being brought up with the principles, and you don't even have to be Māori to benefit or use them as a guide in your life.
One of the coolest things I saw in the research was your entrance to I think it was your first world title win, and the haka that you came in with. Man, it gave me goosebumps. Like, that was so cool. That must have been such an awesome experience.
Oh, it was massive. I didn't think it was gonna be as cool as it was. Like, I was thinking, you fellas better not muck up, because they didn't practice. They all just got together on the night. Like, it was like a 2-minute thing.
Really? That's what I was gonna. I thought that would have had like dress rehearsals and.
Nah. So the first one, they literally just turned up and was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We'll do this one, and then they just winged it pretty much, and it just all worked. It just all came together. The second one they had, I think they maybe have had one practice, and I think they're going all out for the one at home.
I bet they are, because you can see in that video, it's like there's obviously so much going on. Like, you've got this huge fight, but then you're also swept up in this amazing thing which is happening beside you, and I can imagine it would all potentially be a bit overwhelming.
Nah, I reckon it's driving. It's like, how can I lose with this? Like, it's not just me going in there.
Yeah.
Lucky she can't see them, but no, she'll feel them. And I think anybody within that space will feel it. And it's funny because it even comes through on technology. Like, on the camera, people felt it. Like, I had so many messages after that saying how they felt and how they missed home because of seeing that walkout. It's just... For me, it was real cool to be up on the world stage, but not only me, but my whānau who got me there and still pushing me to be there.
And it's not just those that are physically there as well, right? It's the whole whānau, it's everyone, it's all the ancestors that are bringing you forward as well. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's an interesting thing. I love boxing, right? As much as I'm a casual fan, but I love the spectacle of boxing.
Yeah.
I love a good walkout song.
Yeah.
But that's a different level altogether in terms of an entrance into a theatre, into that environment. It was incredibly powerful.
Yeah, because I don't think it's been done before. I think that was like a history-setting bar.
They set the bar pretty high.
It was, yeah.
I know, that's what I was thinking. How are they going to be better, like, keep being better? Because I thought, how are they going to top that first one? Because I was just thinking that was wicked. And then the second one, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how are they going to top that one? But I think just it's that feeling that you feel when they do whatever they do that shines through.
The Lani Daniels story is also a triumph through adversity, and we find that when guests share the hardest part of their journey, their real struggle, and they contrast it with what they've gone on to achieve, it can be a really powerful combination. And with that in mind, I was wondering if you'd be open to telling us about the loss of your brother when he was 11 and you were 14, and sort of how it affected you and what happened after that.
Yeah, I think, I don't even know where to start, but I suppose I'll start with him and his name. So his name is Tukaha, which means to stand strong. He was named after our Pipiwai netball team that won the premiership title back in the day in Whangarei, so they were pretty strong. So my mum named him after our netball team called Tukaha. And wow, he probably, me and him used to fight like so much. Like, he was staunch and stubborn. He actually reminds me of my sister Caroline. Their personalities are kind of the same, like real staunch and don't take any BS.
Was he the next down from you, or so it was you, then him, then
it goes me, him, and then I got a couple others under him. So yeah, we used to squabble. We were like, and I think that was kind of the pattern with our siblings, because the old ones were way too old. Like, by the time we got a little bit older, they would move out, so it would make room for the new ones being born. No, I think that's how. I think that's how my parents done it.
Yeah, we're not building a bigger house. Just get that straight.
And so would just would fight. Like me and him would fight all the time. I remember this one time we had this mean ass scrap, and I always used to just use because I was bigger than him, like just squash him and just like tell him to calm down. And this one time he got the better of me, and he barely even was on top of me holding me down, but then he just started shaking me, telling me to calm down, and I was like, what are you up to? But he was just like copying what I used to do to him. And I was thinking, oh wow. But we're always together, so my parents would work, so after school would be the only ones at home. I don't think there was a law back then.
It was a grey area.
I don't think so, but it was alright. It was only our cousins or whānau around anyways. And when he got sick, I think that was probably the first time I experienced a proper, like, being smacked in the face by life. Like, prior to that, I think I'd have, your ups and downs that you'd get on a daily but it was the first time that it actually really shook my world, like, oh my gosh, and got me questioning. And I guess being 14 and, like, going through teenager, being an adolescent and stuff, it kind of made it a bit more wow. But, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, no. Well, after the loss, you were sort of in how it affected you, and how you sort of chart. Yeah, what happens to a 14-year-old after losing someone like that?
Yeah, so I think I just cut it all out, blocked it out, and I kind of went from this high achieving person, like, would strive to be the best at whatever sport I did. Like, I loved basketball, and I lived and breathed for basketball, and I'd always want to be in the best of the best team and things like that. And then even academically, I did quite well as well. So I'd always like be in the top classes at my high school, be put forward to go on leadership courses and things like that. And then as soon as he died, it's just like I just didn't care about anything. But then I don't know, I felt like I used it as an excuse, like to play up, because I wanted to tutu, because being brought up in a Mormon family, we have this thing called the word of wisdom where you're not allowed to drink or smoke. We didn't even have coffee or cups of tea in our house growing up. So it was like, it gave me an excuse to push boundaries that I was kind of curious about anyways, that any normal 14-year-old would want to experience. So for me, it gave me that space to be able to like not care and do that. And so I went with it. But it really did get me questioning God. Like, I thought, well, what's the point in trying when we're going to die anyways? Like, so I remember feeling this real hate towards God and thinking, how could you do this? Like, why would you do this to us? And I just couldn't understand that would have to, like, why he made him sick, or why he got sick, I suppose. And it just made me not care. And my friends, I used to hang out with everybody at school. Like, I would hang out with the clever kids, the sporty kids, the tutu kids. But I guess after I lost my brother, or when he got sick, I kind of drifted more to the tutu kids. And I got stoned for the first time, and it just made me happy. Like, it like, I didn't feel sad. I just felt like, I felt numb.
Yeah,
like
you didn't feel anything, I guess. From my experience,
Yeah, it just made me feel numb, like, and I didn't care. And then pretty much that was me for the next 10 years of my life.
I wanted to ask, is like, how long did that malaise or that period of being I don't want to use the word aimless, but that period of floating in life. How long? 10 years? Are you saying that it lasted?
Yeah.
So from 14 to mid 20s.
24, 23. Yeah, when I started my nursing, and I doubt if I didn't have the support of my whānau that I would have gotten through it. Like, I probably would have still been doing what I was doing because it helped, it worked, and it was just that they cared so much about me. They just kept prodding and probing until I eventually made the decision for myself to just try be better.
So was the support still there from the whānau, despite you going down a different path maybe to what they expected, that they didn't shun you or kick you out altogether? They still wrapped you.
That's probably that's one thing with my mum and dad, is that they've always, and that's probably why I love home so much, is that they've always, no matter what happens in this world, would always have a home. So we could always go home. And I always knew that, and I would often go out, live my life, and then end up back at home when things got a bit too tough.
That's a familiar cycle for a lot of people. That's a familiar cycle for me, definitely.
Yeah. So I would go away, get wasted off my face, and then when things got too hard, go back home, retreat, and then
go again.
And then go again.
Yeah.
Feel like, oh yeah, feeling all right, I can go take on the world again, and then the world would like smack me down, and then I'll go home to refuel, reset, and then go out again. So that kind of was my pattern. So I must have lived about 8 years of my life down in Hamilton. Yeah, so I went down there. I left school, and I did a basketball course at the Wā basketball course, and I did. It was more just something to sign into, and I thought it might have helped me and motivated me, given it was basketball. That's all we had to do. But I guess going to a bigger town, the excitement, I started drinking.
And Hamilton is an exciting town. I think we need to make that point for people that might not think Hamilton is awesome. Hamilton is awesome.
Yeah, Hamilton is awesome. I actually really love Hamilton. And I've always said if I was to move anywhere else in this country, it would be Hamilton.
Ambassador.
We've got
you'd be very welcome as an ambassador.
We've got a new chair of the ambassador committee in Lani Daniels.
And I think it's just through the experiences I've had. Like, I've had some fun times, but then also some life-changing experiences down there.
The Outback can do that to people. Those backdrafts at the back bar, they have a habit of sneaking up on people. But before you got to the nursing, then what was the reality of your world? You mentioned you were on the course for basketball, but to make ends meet, are you working minimum wage jobs?
I left school initially and started working at McDonald's. So I worked at McDonald's for like 4 years, and I guess I still had a little bit of self-pride to like make ends meet, and like I didn't want to like rip anybody off, or I wanted to pay my way and things like that. So I still worked at McDonald's, and then I just got over that, and then I ended up. My brother got DIC'd, and he manager at Burger King, so he needed somebody to drive him to work, and they pretty much were like, if you can drive him, we can do the same shifts. And I hummed and hard for ages because I didn't want to go back to fast food, but I ended up taking it on and ended up working at BK for 4 years as well. So that's like 8 years.
I've worked in fast food. I worked at Pizza Hut for nearly 10 years, probably, the old all-you-can-eat in Hamilton East. I don't know if you ever went to that one.
Yeah, I worked at Macca's in Hamilton East.
Oh, right. We used to do exchanges.
I worked there for 2 years. Opposite Steel Park, eh?
Yeah, that's the one. But it can be detrimental on your health working in a fast food, because it's very easy to just, for the all-you-can-eat pizza, it's very easy just when they come out the back to go for that. So did you... I imagine growing up...
I look like a burger.
Oh, I'm glad you said it and not me. But the way I was going to put it was, I imagine you were a very athletic young woman when you went down for the basketball course.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah,
but the drinking and maybe not having that direction, did that have a negative effect on you physically?
Definitely, and then I think that started impacting my mood, my self-confidence. Felt like I wasn't worth it, and it just spiraled. Like you just. Yeah, I think I probably would have had depression there as well. but just put on a mask, like everything's all right. And then when I was by myself, have a cry.
Yeah, I've been there. Don't worry, I know exactly where you are.
I'm not sure where on timeline this sits, but it's somewhere in that period, and we're going to talk about the tools you used to pull yourself out. But was the lowest moment after your nana died as well? And did that send you, and was that kind of rock bottom across this period?
I think that was on top of, yeah, I was really close with my nan, like, but then at the same time I was living a life that I knew she wouldn't be proud of. So the few years before she passed away, I kind of avoided her, which then I felt guilty about. Yeah, but and then I got to the point where my mum ended up coming to get me because I just was like, I can't do this. And yeah, went home again, reset, and then come back better.
But there's strength. There's strength in asking for help. There's a lot of people that don't pick up the phone or don't reach out and ask for help in those dark moments.
Yeah, and I can see why. Like it's hard, and I think it's embarrassing. Like I think that was the biggest part, is like just feeling like a failure and letting them down, letting my parents down. So a lot of what I did, I hid it from my parents. Like I've never been, well, they've seen me drunk, but I'll be pretending to be asleep if they were ever to be within proximity. Like I've never openly drunk in front of my parents or smoked or anything. I don't even think I've said a swear word. So it's just natural. Like I don't swear anyways, but like if I'm hanging around heaps of friends that do, I notice over a long period of time I'd say the F word or something. I'm thinking, ooh, like it's not my norm. So it just shows me that who you do surround yourself by, you follow suit if you're there long enough. And I don't know, there's just one thing about my parents. Even now, like I'm like 35 and I'll dive. Like I was going for a try or something, if I was holding a beer, they're coming by sights. Like it's funny, like my friends and think, oh my gosh, you're an adult. I was like, so it doesn't mean I have to adult drink around my parents. But yes. And I think that's like, yeah, I guess that's just the way I am. Because I don't, yeah, most people, like I don't know. I always used to question it because I'm one to always think and think and think and think till I wind myself up into my own mess in my own head, and breaking it down. Like I always used to think about like why I do that. Like why do I hide? And then I'm just sending it because it's out of respect.
Oh my God, you're speaking directly to me. How bad it is it when on a Sunday morning when you're hungover to hell and you're in that mind space, right? It's so destructive.
Yeah. So, and especially then, like even at home, like no matter what, if I went out partying or something the night before on a Saturday and I stay at home, it's always been a rule in our house that church on Sunday.
Yeah, got to front up.
Yeah, so no matter what, we'll still go to church. But if I was really, really cut, I'd wait till 5 minutes past 10 once churches start, then I would go home. Because they'll be all gone to church.
Like hacks.
But it's funny because everybody in our whole community knows, like they'll be making jokes like, oh yeah, they're gone to church, you can go home now. But yeah.
Thank you so much for everything you've shared so far. Like it's really powerful and important, and it helps paint the picture of pulling you out in the tools you did. And there would be other things as well. Was boxing, from what I understand, you did it to lose weight and get into fitness, but was that the key to sort of the path that has led you to the top now?
I think it's my whānau, to be honest. Like I think the boxing complements it. Like it's the tool and the vehicle, but I think it's my whānau was the gas. I just made that up.
That's a great.
Go with that. Go with that.
That's a great analogy. Copyright that. Every interview from now on.
Yeah, like so. I think, I think it was my family because they were there no matter what I did, embarrassing things I did. They were there and they loved me unconditionally, and I know that they do. But I think the boxing really equipped me with the tools in terms of the discipline, changing the habits. Like it's quite addictive. and it gives that same rush as I suppose getting piss gives.
Or eating a yum meal
Yeah.
that you shouldn't be eating. Yeah.
And it was like with boxing, you can't do both. Like, you can't. In our lifestyle in Hamilton, like, I was drinking every other day, if not being stoned every day. So I was always on something, where with the boxing, you couldn't do both. And I kind of got that taste of what it like to win.
Yeah.
And achieve. Like when I won my first fight, the rush it gives you, like, it's freaky as hell. I still get that same feeling when I'm about to walk out for my fights now. Of, why do I do this to myself? Like, I don't know why. It's such a uncomfortable feeling. Yeah, but the rewards override that feeling.
David Nika, we interviewed David Nika, and it never made the light of day because we didn't move the mouse on the system, and it wiped the whole audio. Yeah. But he said, and he used the phrase that boxing has a way of humbling you.
Yeah.
And is there a moment where boxing humbled you that you think, oh yeah, I get it now. I can't do this and I can't do that and be a boxer?
Yeah, but I'm like got to do it like 4 or 5 times before it actually sinks in. So my whole journey of boxing has been like that. So I always get to that point where I think I can maybe test the waters and, oh yeah, no, I can do both. And then, so it smacks me down every single time, and then I realise, well, actually, no, I can't. But I would say I've really surrendered to it this year, that knew that if I really wanted to achieve, I needed to just live and breathe it, which is, I've been blessed to be in a position to do that now. Where before I was like part-timing, I'd do week on, week off at home, but the week off I was literally off doing everything else but boxing. Whereas down here there's no excuses. It's, I've got John who's invested in it just as much as me. I just think it's such a powerful combination.
Sorry, my brain works. I need a path of the boxing journey. It's ups and downs. But
see, that's my whole life. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I've heard or read that you fell in love with boxing when you were 24. But was there an earlier childhood connection to boxing, and then you drifted away from it, and then you found it again, and then you fell in love with it?
No, I fully started. So I got into boxing because of my sister. She did a fight for life for canteen, and it was like the nurses, the Waikiria prison, and the police, and they did like this fundraiser thing, and I saw the positive impacts it had in her life because she's a big girl too, and we all used to party and drink, and I suppose that was like where would be and happy and be the person that would want to be, would think, with the alcohol. Whereas when she started training for this fight, she put it all in, and I could just see she lost so much weight. She had like this natural glow, and my sister's quite a grump. She was happy. And I was thinking,
I want a piece of that.
I want that.
Yeah, nice.
And so she used to make comments, but I was a bit shy to take up the offer. And then she said that she paid for my one-on-ones with our coach that we first started out with. But prior to doing that, I wanted to get into the double digits first because I was like 110, I think. And then, so she bought me a gym membership at Te Rapa Pools, and we used to go there every day. And then the drinking kind of changed, from drinking every day changed to training every day. And the more we got into the sport, the more it kind of grew. Yeah.
Did you start realizing, or did people start telling you were really good at it?
There, people started telling me.
Yeah.
I didn't think I didn't think I was good as what I was. People just always told me, Except this one time when we were watching the Commonwealth Games, I think it was 2014, and I saw Savannah Marshall fighting, and I was thinking, I was a bit intoxicated. So then I don't know really
Who's not watched a fight on TV and gone, I reckon I could.
I could be, yeah.
UFC going, I reckon I could.
Not like,
Is that you, man?
Going, really? You really think you could take one of those?
yeah, that's what I felt, but it felt so real, and I felt like, yeah, I could. And that's where I thought, like, the first twinkle of being a world champion come from was when I saw her fight and thought, hey, she's the Commonwealth champ. I didn't. Oh, I thought she was good because she beat everybody else, but I just thought I was better, even though I could barely throw a jab.
So that's a twinkle. How does that twinkle turn into a fire, or is that still the up and down journey that we're still going to embark?
Yeah, well,
as we
that's
go?
what it's always been like, and I think it's only now that I feel, well, actually, no, I do think I can beat her. I've got the right man in my corner, and everything is just working in our favour and giving me no excuse why I wouldn't beat her.
Sorry, I'm trying to cut you off. No, I was just looking at my notes, and so you're talking 2014 Commonwealth Games, and you're thinking, one of my sources said 2015.
Daniela Smith. Just say Daniela Smith.
Daniela Smith.
Daniela Smith.
I had a chat to Daniela Smith, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
said, in 2015, you defeat 2 opponents in one night at an amateur boxing event, and that caught people's attention. Like, that was that the first time you thought maybe I can make a career out of this? Because apparently people around you certainly did after that night.
Nah. No. Like, I'm so bad with the self-doubt. Like, it's like terrible. I'm like my own worst enemy. Like it only kind of would last in those moments, like, oh, this is so cool. But then as soon as I was out of that space, it would just be like, oh.
Even after the national amateur titles, like once you're starting to get gold and straps and stuff, it's still there and then gone?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know it would be the same if I was to go home and stay home. And so, like, because I've committed myself to fighting for 2 years with John and see what we want to win all the bouts. So that's what the time frame I've committed to, just 100% commit to boxing and live and breathe it. So when I do get time to go home, I'm not going to go home longer than 2 weeks, because I know myself. I could already feel it after my last fight, and it was 2 weeks, and I was thinking I need to go back. Like, it just slowly drifts away.
That's such a powerful thing, knowing yourself.
Yeah.
That's like me and alcohol. So people be like, oh, you can have a beer and go out. I'm like, yeah, but I know myself, and I know eventually there'll be a time where I go, I can just have a big night.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine, and then I'll be fine again. So for me, like 0 is far easier to remember than 1 or 2 or 4
and I'm
or
the
whatever.
same too, because I would like to get just drunk, because I think it is a nice feeling. Not so much the hangover part, but that's the part that I remind myself when I try to tempt myself, like, when I'm getting tempted. But I'm the same with alcohol. I'm the same with anything I do. It's all or nothing. Like, I got asked if I had an alcohol problem, or if I was an alcoholic, and I was like, nah, I just think whatever I do it 100%. So if you want to drink, I'm going to drink you under the table.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want a cheeseburger challenge, I'm going to win that cheeseburger challenge.
And I will.
I want to introduce the legend John Conway into this timeline. He's sitting in the corner there, and I know that we've got a lot to talk about the impact he's made on your life. But where you sort of doubted yourself in this roller coaster, and then I'm really interested in how you guys first linked up.
One of our friend trained with him, and me and my sister, when we turned pro, it was just me and her, and it was more because we could pick and choose when we wanted to fight, and so we used to just copy YouTube and wrap our hands. And I remember one fight, Lance Rebel had to redo my hands because he reffed it, and he was like, oh my gosh, you're going to like break your hands. These are gold. You need to really look after them. And so he re-wrapped my hands so that they were legit to fight in. And then the fight after that, my friend was like, no, we'll just get, because John was reffing at the next fight I had. And he was like, no, we'll just ask him. And I was like, no, I told her like 3 times, don't be a whoreha. Just, he's there for another job, not to wrap my hands. And it ended up working out, and he sent a list of what I needed to bring and stuff, and he come down into the changing room, wrapped my hands, and then we just asked him, do you want to be in the corner? And then it just we just started messaging from there, and he said, pull up at his gym and he can show me a few things, and yeah, one thing just led to another, and it worked out really, really good.
The story goes he saw a potential world champion almost as soon as he started working with you.
Yeah, he said I reminded him of himself.
Humble phrase, I like it. But you still, despite getting your tyres pumped up like that, you still had an element of self-doubt? Because it's around this time I think you've got your first world title shot.
Yeah. And I think that what goes hand in hand with I wasn't living a life that aligned with the world champion boxer. Like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I guess if you leave any space like that, that's where the doubt starts to creep in. So for me, I need to that's one thing you always have is your own conscience, your own mind. And I can be telling you one thing, but my mind knows what I'm up to or what I've been doing when I'm by myself, how many cheeseburgers I've eaten.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I could say, no, I haven't had McDonald's for ages.
Yeah.
But I had a McMuffin this morning.
Yeah.
And we know that, and I think I just have a really big conscience because it just sits there, and like any little thing, my brain just picks up on it. And I think it's a good thing, but if not used in the best way it can be used, is a real detriment. And I think I'm only now starting to learn how to work with it, where before it used to just throw me off and I would just break down. Like, it's just too much.
Because in those early days, I understand that you're coming down from up north and then you're training maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then driving back and going back to work again?
Yeah.
Is that how the cycle was?
I think it was Thursday, I'll come down after work on a Thursday, train Friday, Saturday, and then drive home either Saturday afternoon or Sunday.
Stop in at the McDonald's on the drive back. Yep, I know. Been there, done that.
Before I left Auckland and when I got to Whangarei.
You're joking, but I know there's an element of truth in that as well.
But he used to know, and it got to the point where I'd instead of coming down the Thursday, I'll tell him, no, I'll come down the Friday, but that's because I'd spend the Thursday evening in the sauna drying out. Yeah. So, because he used to check my weight when I got down here. But then I'd make the weight, but my performance would be crap. And he was just too nice to say anything. Yeah. He didn't. He just let me suffer instead of pulling me up. He just let me figure it out. Which was supposed to. I don't know if it would have been better if he just told me. It might have got.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether the lessons maybe would have sunk in. There's a power in letting go of the reins and letting you figure it out, but still being the support there that sees the potential.
Yeah, and that's what he done. He kind of just let me think. Probably rolling his eyes because I'd still come and make sure. But I'd fully dry out. I'd lose 3 kgs and then I'll drive down and be nil by mouth till after I got on the scales, and then I'll be fuel up again, and then just running on E and just doing the bare minimum. But he could see it in my performance and everything.
So when was the first time you decided to move in full time to the gym and just sleep there and live there in the build up to a fight?
January this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just pretty much, because I'm getting older, boxing has a time cap, and I can't be doing this for the too much of the future. I've only got a short period of time left in me, and so that glimpse of being a world champion's always been there, and I've always believed that it was possible if I did my part. And so the opportunity popped up again, and I thought, man, I'm so blessed. I keep getting these opportunities, and it made me feel like it was meant to be. But I needed to do my part, so I just said, okay. I was supposed to go home after the weekend, but then I ended up ringing home and saying I'm not coming back, that I'm just going to stay here and give it everything I've got and that's what we did.
This part is really cool because in the research to it, like unpacking what it actually means to the sacrifices made. Because people see the fight night, they tune in and they see, oh my God, she's done so good. But they don't know, like 3-4 trainings a day, all you're doing in your downtime is sleeping, resting and eating. Like you're fully all in this process.
Before we get there though, there's an important piece of the puzzle, I think, which is a 2-year gap between the first title fight that you have, which you don't win, and then do you give up boxing for 2 years?
Yeah, and then because I last fought at 72 kgs, and then I hit the scales at like 100 kgs.
Right.
In that 2-year period, and I went AWOL from this guy. Like he'd always like message, and I'll just like I'd fully freak out and have anxiety and try push my phone away because I was like, what do I do? Like freeze and go all like weird, like, as if he's watching me. But he would always check in and just says, "How am I?" or "Where am I? Where is Lani?" And I just ghosted him for like ages.
So had you fallen out of love with boxing at that point? Like, why did you step away for 2? I know COVID hit and no one was able to do anything, but was that just not wanting to do boxing anymore? Like,
No, I think I wanted to, but I just felt really down. And I think, thinking about losing my brother and stuff, that was hard, but I think that felt like it was the hardest period of my life. Like it was, I wouldn't want to go back to that, how I felt in that space. And I think what held on to me, like leading up to it, was I was still physically active, where I just let everything go, and the COVID kind of supported that because I got to work from home, so I isolated myself a bit, and I was just drinking every single day, and then it got to the point where I needed to drink to go to sleep, so I wasn't sleeping, and then working back into work, the pressure of my job, like I just was faking it all, and really inside I was so sad and depressed to the point I ended up going to get help, and I work in the mental health industry, so I know the medication and stuff. I ended up going to get medications because it just got to the point where I started like making plans in my head about how to end it all. Thinking about it now, I don't think I had the guts to do it, but I was mapping out plans in my head of what I could do, or making sure my affairs were in order so that I could just slip off the face of the earth type of stuff. And that freaked me out that I was even getting thoughts like that. So I rang my doctor and started on an antidepressant. And I did for like a year. So I went on that for about a year. And it worked. Like it definitely worked. For me, it helped just put a blanket across how I was feeling, and it numbed it. It gave me the kind of same sensation as what I suppose alcohol and drugs did, except without the hangover feeling, and then I was still able to function. But it didn't work alone. Like I stopped alcohol, I stopped drugs, any other illicit substances, and I started training again, even though it was just like walking, because I was too big to run. So I started walking and slowly exercising. I was reading uplifting things. I was practicing gratitude every day, like what I was grateful for. So the medication was like a kickstart, but it wouldn't have worked by itself. And I think that's one thing that people that give it a go don't realise, is that it's not a magic pill, that it ain't going to make all your issues and problems go away if you're not going to do anything else to support it. So I was practicing good sleep hygiene as well. So I cut my phone off. I wasn't up scrolling on it till after 9 o'clock. I would put my phone away, and all those little things over time helped to make me just climb myself out of a black hole that I was feeling and that I was lost in.
I'm not sure how many times you've talked about this part of your life or shared the story, and there was a moment where you kind of hesitantly said, I asked for help. That's so powerful to people to know that that is good. I mean, I don't need to tell you, you're in that space. Asking for help and then seeking it and then getting it, like that must hold you in such strong stead in your work, in the mental health space for others that are going through this, to be able to just connect with them on what they're going through.
I think that's probably, I think after that experience, I think I was able to relate more, because before I'd think, kind of roll my eyes, like, just, because they'd come in, these pills aren't working, but I was able to talk with more conviction around, they're not magic. Like before I used to kind of just say it because I heard somebody else say it. Where now I was like, no, I know, because I've tried it. They ain't going to work if you're not going to put in the work to make a change, and if you're not willing to make the little sacrifices that you need, like just putting your phone away. Because I work with youth, and I was able to share few of them like that I would go through it, and I think they appreciate it, because then they'll start being more honest about, I'm still playing on my phone, and I'm not doing the skills that we've been going over. Like they'll start being a bit more open and honest about that, where I suppose I used to do what John used to do to me. He was just like, they're like, they're not working, and then I'm thinking, well, they're not going to work if you're not going to stop staying up till after midnight, or if you don't lay off the energy drinks. Like they're moaning about their sleep and nothing's working, but they're not actively putting in the work that they need to be doing. And I guess it's something that they got to figure out for themselves, and they do eventually. I've seen it. I've seen people come to where they've made those changes and thinking, I should have listened to before.
Thank you so much for sharing that part of your life, because I know how challenging it is to talk openly about the darkest and the hardest moments. Yeah. But as we sort of have alluded to a number of times on this podcast, we don't know who's listening, and we don't know what they're going through at that moment in time. So even by you sharing that real life example of where you were, what you're feeling, and the little steps that you took, is really, really powerful. Like Stephen said, and it also puts a really fitting comparison to where you are now and what you're doing now, and the dedication that you do put into your craft to give yourself fully in this moment in time, to take maximum what's the word I'm looking for? Opportunity to take all of the opportunities that are presented to you, even if they do sound quite Spartan and quite difficult at times.
So yeah, I think the timeline here links you back up with John and a commitment to go all in with it. And I don't think people really understand the intensity or the sacrifice that you have made and are making to reach the top, to be a world champion. And I was wondering if you could give us the detail of when you made the decision to go back all in, and what exactly your sort of days look like.
So I made the decision at the start of the year, when I felt like it was my last chance. I didn't think I would get another opportunity after this. So I just grabbed it with both hands and submitted, really, that I was going to do whatever I needed to do to win. And part of that equation was just, John says, Lani does, and we win. Yeah. That's all I just kept repeating. Like, John's someone who's lived and breathed it. And I couldn't be more blessed to have somebody in my corner that knows the go, that has lived it, because it's hard to take advice from someone who just says and doesn't do. He's done. And for me, I think that's powerful. And I've just made a connection with how I was on meds and used that in my job. No. And like how you can connect. Yeah, I was like, oh wow, yeah. No, it does make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's a full-on job, and I can't believe that I've been in the sport so long and only given it the respect that it deserves now. But I think it's paying off, and we're just reaping the rewards of our work that we're putting in together.
It's hard to be that committed to it, because the paydays aren't huge. After you won the first world title fight, there was suggestion you didn't know if you'd keep fighting because you know the opportunities weren't there. So you're giving so much of yourself. You're putting your career on hold. You're training 3 or 4 times a day. All of your focus is on this thing, and there's not necessarily a great career out there. Like it's a really interesting dynamic.
I guess for me it's not really about the money. Dean, you didn't hear that because it is. But I think if it was about the money, I wouldn't be doing it. And for me, I think it's about just being better and striving to be better. And from history and everything that I've experienced to date, I have been achieving that through boxing. So I guess that's what I've been put on this world, put on this earth to do, is to box, to fight. Well, we're all put on here to fight. We're all fighters and we all have our own fight.
So I tried to make the point before, and I don't think I did a very good job of it. But painting the picture of what it is, like it sounds like a Rocky movie, you know, like the dedication. You're sleeping in the gym. You've got Muhammad Ali on one wall and another. You push the couch at the back. You go to work. But the reality of that is pretty. Like, what is the reality of that? Like it sounds like, you know what I mean? Like it sounds glamorous. You could turn it into a movie, but
I don't think it sounds glamorous.
no, you know what I mean?
Like it sounds cool.
Yeah, no, at the end you're standing there with a title above your head, and it's epic.
Yeah.
But it's a grind, right?
Yeah, and I reckon when I first went into it, the motivation was high because I hadn't lived and breathed it for like the whole year. So I feel this camp, going into my 4th fight for the year, it's really starting to pay off, and it's starting to get to me that it isn't actually what it all pans out to be, like this big glamorous movie. Like what I had in mind when I first went into it, like I was thinking, oh, this is so cool, and the energy and the motivation was high, where I could see like this one, it's like, oh.
But then how do you keep yourself going?
Okay, you just keep going. You don't give your time to think about it. You just keep going. Trust the process, and I think this is what trusting the process means. Like at the start of the year, I was like, yeah, trust the process, but I didn't really know fully what trust the process meant. And now I'm like, this is what trust the process means, is to trust the process, because it's going to break you. And I think what helps me keep going is the worse I feel now, the better I'm going to shine on fight night.
Yeah, that's strong. I asked Dean Lonergan what his impressions were of you, and he said, the most laid-back person I've ever come across. Boxing is incredibly intense. She isn't, but she trains as hard as anyone I know, and I still don't think she quite realizes how good she is. And I'm getting that sense from everyone I speak to. Like, you still, even now, you're a world champion. Like, you still have so far you can go.
Yeah.
But I love that contrast of laid back Lani, but she knows what it takes to win, and now she trains harder than anyone else.
Yeah, like I reckon you do. Yeah, I don't know.
The Smiling Assassin nickname is like the most accurate nickname in boxing history.
You know what's
I think.
funny? That's his name.
Yeah, right.
That was his fight name.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so that was before we even met.
Wow.
And I only got my name through a workmate who said, because I was like, signed up for my first fight, I was like, oh, I need a name. They like asking for a name, and I was like, what should I be called? And my friend was just like, Smiling Assassin. I was like, really? Yeah, I was like, okay, so I just went with it.
It works.
Yeah.
It definitely works.
Yeah. Did the emotion pour out of you when you won that first world title, like that culmination of all this work and the journey you'd been on? Like, was it that 24 hours afterwards, did it all sort of come out?
Oh, I still didn't believe it till I defended it. Like, until I defended it, it started to sink in that, well, actually, now I'm a little bit worthy now.
Yeah.
Now I have to go do it 2 times to just seal the deal.
I've got that question down as what's harder mentally, winning or defending?
I think defending, because I think there's more on the plate. But I think for me it was just assuring myself that I was good enough to be the best of the best.
And then my follow-up was, which is more satisfying as a person, winning or defending?
Winning. Winning. I just like winning.
Yeah. It's good that you got another opportunity coming up to win another one.
Well, that's what I think. It kind of like switches the perspective a little bit and gives me more like, oh yeah, I get to win again. We're on the same platform. I'm not like up here or up there. Like there's no like, because depending how you look at it, you can twist it. That's I suppose the power of the mind. But yeah, for me, I just think we're both going for something that's not actually anybody's yet, but it's going to be mine.
I love that. And it sort of leads me into a question about the hyping up the fight. Like there's a fine line we were talking before about doing too much media stuff, and if you lose 1%, that could be it. Like the most important thing is winning. But obviously the hype builds fights, and you need to get out there as well. Like how much of that do you I saw an interview with you guys did on News Hub a few weeks back when this airs, and you guys were both like sitting next to each other, and it was like nice, and it's like that's quite different to a lot of the, you know, the aggressive build-ups. Like, do you think about how you're going to frame yourself in public in the lead up to a fight?
Yeah, I do. I have, and it just stresses me out.
Yeah.
Like I just think, oh my gosh, why am I stressing so much out over this? So for me, I just feel like I'll just go be myself. But then it's funny because I'm thinking, oh, what is myself? So like, yeah, I will figure it out when we go do it.
Is part of yourself gumboots and swan dry in the way in? Is that you?
Yeah, at home, yeah, that's like number ones. Because we live out in the wop, so yeah.
It's such an interesting, because you're building a profile of yourself and who you are in this time period of life, presumably to go and hunt some big paydays, maybe outside of New Zealand and overseas. So I guess it's all there's a game within the game, right? Like there's the actual stuff that happens inside the ring, and then there's the stuff that happens outside of which I guess falls into Dean's portfolio, but you've got to play a part in that. Does that come naturally to you, that kind of putting yourself out there?
Nah, that's shame. Like, I feel stupid
because you're really good at it.
I might, thanks.
Yeah. But authenticity is
yes.
I feel like, nah, 'cause I overthink it all too much, and so then I start thinking, yes. I don't really like watching myself when I play it back. So.
Oh, you're going to love this then.
I probably won't watch it back.
No, but that authenticity is the key. Like people can tell if you're acting up, and that's not.
Oh, does it
you.
look like I'm pretending?
No, this is. I've got a note there for when I end. Is that your actual genuine authenticity and the way you come across, like your flaws, are beautiful. In the way that you're able to, I'm ruining my outro, but in the way that you're able to pick them up and catch yourself, even as you're saying them, is such a unique quality to be that self-aware.
Oh yeah, that's what I don't know. I think maybe that's what it's all about.
I think so. It's working. It's working for you.
I feel like that's what it is. Just always trying to catch myself, and I think it's striving to be better. I just striving to be the best version of myself. And yeah, sometimes it's a bit draining. It's so draining.
Self-awareness is a superpower, in my opinion.
It really
makes you so likable and so magnetic. I know you're not going to want to look past this fight, but do you think about like at what stage of your career you're in? And Shay was talking about potentially big international paydays should you win. Do you think about that at all?
Yeah, I have moments where I just wonder and think, but I do know I'm going to fight in the UK, which that was a language change before. I hope I fight in the UK, but I know I'm going to fight in the UK, and I can't wait to fight in the UK. And yeah, I don't think this is. I just feel like we're at the beginning of whatever it is we're going to end up at, and I don't know what that is, but I think the bigger the better.
Yeah, it does feel like the beginning. And this
And
has been so cool painting the picture, because it's taken you longer than most world title fighters to get there, like a late start.
Yeah.
But like the story behind you and what you've achieved and like the different weight divisions that's the first time in New Zealand history. I think it was Bob Fitzsimmons or something was back in 1908, but he maybe wasn't a Kiwi.
We'll edit that out if it's wrong.
Yeah, like you breaking history. Like you're setting new precedent.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like if it wasn't me, I'll think, whoa, that's so cool. But because it's me doing it, I just feel like, oh yeah, okay, it's just something else.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's like as, yeah, sometimes I wish it wasn't me so I can celebrate it a bit more. Well, maybe I will celebrate it a bit more, like hype it up more than what I actually think in my mind. Like I think I just think it's cool. But I think if it wasn't me, I'd think it was cooler.
Yeah, there'll be a
Which
time.
is a bit mean to myself, really.
A little bit, but you're in it. You're like
Yeah.
a week out from the fight. So
Yeah.
there'll be a time to celebrate what you've achieved. We can celebrate it now. But tell the audience, how is it that you've come to will be a world title winner in 2 different weight divisions?
How is it?
Yeah, like what's happened there?
I don't know. That's the politics side that I have nothing to do with.
Yeah.
That's John's job. So, yeah. I guess it's because I was a heavyweight and I'm cutting down.
Yeah, can we just jump on that point? Like how that seems to me like a really intense part of what you're doing is that fluctuating between and trying to get right on point for weigh-ins and bits and pieces. Like,
Yeah.
is that a John thing to be responsible for making sure that you hit that mark, or how much responsibility falls on you to do that as well?
Oh, no, it's my job.
Right.
I take 100% that I need to be at whatever weight we agree. All John has to tell me is where I'm fighting, but he's with me all the time, so knows where I'm sitting. And I feel like the heavyweight kind of is only because I come back into the sport as a heavyweight. Before I had my break, I was fighting at middleweight. And yeah, I'm just lucky that I can bang at any of those weights that I'm sitting at.
Because it seems natural. It seems natural to me, and I'm probably not the best physical example of this. But the harder you train and the harder you work, the more likely you are to drop weight, and to get lighter.
Yeah.
But if you're needing to be at a certain weight, that's a really fine balance to make work outside of the training regime.
Yeah. Well, I think too the heavyweight category isn't as heavy as men's, which might make it seem a bit more weird being a heavyweight, because heavyweight's only 79.25 or anything above.
I wish. Jeez,
Yeah,
I wish that was heavyweight for me.
I think that's a lower weight. That like a men's heavyweight is much higher than that. I think there's 2 weight categories up.
I'm in super duper, I think. the third category.
So yeah.
There must be a pretty big party planned for
After the fight,
after the fight. Northland.
I'm probably with everyone else, but I plan to just go home resting and go to church on Sunday.
How pissed off will you be if you get stuck in that doping control room again for 2 hours with your opponent?
Least I suppose I get on with this opponent. It won't be too bad.
So for those that don't know, it was your title defense, right?
Defense, yeah.
So the fight finishes, you retain the title. You're thinking, awesome, I get to watch Mia fight now. But no.
No.
You get taken to a doping control room. So not only do you have to pass a urine sample,
Yeah.
but who's in there with you?
My opponent.
That you've just beaten.
And then she starts talking to me. She's like, oh, I don't know why they stopped the fight. You look like you're starting to get tired. Oh, I'm so, like, mad, like, that they stopped the fight. And then it started, like, because I'm one to think and take on board what other people say, I was thinking, oh, was it an unfair stoppage? And I had to sit with that overnight because I didn't get to watch the fight till the next day. But when I finally did watch the fight, I was thinking, oh, no, that was fair. Like, she was catching some pretty open shots. But it made me think, oh, my gosh, I felt like we ripped her off because it was a hometown advantage.
Yeah, you're getting her biased
Yeah,
sort of take
yeah.
on it. You're like, hey.
I don't want to delve too much into the detail, but how long did it take you to pass your sample?
Yeah, about 2 hours,
Ugh.
which was stink because prior to the fight, I went like 8 times. Like just nervous, like, oh my gosh, and it was like barely anything, but I was just like the difference between the two.
Well, here's hoping it's a shorter turnaround.
Yeah,
In
because I think
Whangarei.
I'll probably go again.
In your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine growing up in Pipiwai that you'd be fighting for a world title just down the road in Whangarei?
Nah, and it trips me out. So I've always played basketball, and I'd played right from like 8 years old, and would go and play at ASB. It used to be called ASB. It's Mackay now, but we used to play there with no shoes on, and like to think that we've sold it out and going to be like superstars. Like our kids will think we're superstars.
I hate to break to you, you kind of are a superstar already to a lot of people.
But it's just like, I just think the kids like at home, like they'll be like, wow, and they're going to be there. It's going to be wicked.
It's going to be so cool, and I'm so happy we've got this connection to you and Mia who are doing it, and we've sort of been able to platform and tell your stories in full, because it's so powerful, and it's going to impact so many people. I'll just check any bits and pieces. All right, we'll start the outros. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. I'm really excited to watch the fight. It's been so cool just spending this time with you, and can't wait to see what's coming up. But Shay's our I haven't seen this in a while, but Shay's our outro guy, and I'm sure he's got a big one lined up.
Before we outro, I just want you to reflect, because I think the people around you see huge potential in you to be a genuine superstar, not only in boxing but probably in life. But in your own words, can you reflect on how far you've come through your whole journey, from growing up as a kid to the challenges that you faced as a teenager, to the depths of depression as a woman, and now a world champion, and on the brink of being a 2-division world champion?
Can you start that again? Like this, the front. What was the question?
Just can you reflect on that in your own words?
In my own words.
Like looking back at where you are now, how incredible is that journey, and do you see how incredible that journey is?
Yeah, like looking back at it now, like I think I am where I'm supposed to be. Like I think I'm needed to experience everything I've experienced to be the person I am today. But I think growing up at home in Pipiwai, I was born to be great. Sounds cheesy but true. Like I feel like that was something that was installed in me from birth, and nurtured right up till I lost my brother and faced those first smacks in the face of life. And I think everything else to date has just helped me understand it a bit better, and be a better person for it. And I think that it's actually been pretty cool. And it is cool to be able to look back and see how far I've come.
Yeah, it is really cool. And it's been really cool to hear it in your own words. And it started for me when you started talking about your connection to place and your connection to whānau, and the fact that you carry your brother's name.
Yeah, this is cool, eh? That's what I think is so cool.
And that you
it gives it purpose, like.
Yeah, you carry the place and the people with you in everything that you do. And your flaws are beautiful, and the fact that you acknowledge your flaws is beautiful, but you've got such wisdom that you are using to help others, and it makes sense, the space that you work in. But I don't think you even realize the value that you're going to give the world by sharing your message on this podcast. And I can't wait to hear the response that people have whenever they pick this up. Maybe straight after the fight, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, maybe in 3 years' time. And there'll be other chapters to add to where you are now, to where you'll be in the future. This has been one of my favorite episodes, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass for the sake of it.
Feels like you are.
No. Because
sounds like a good burnout.
Yeah. Because you remind me a lot of some of my own thought patterns and my own thinking. So for me personally, that's really special to hear that other people think the way that I do about life and about themselves.
Yeah.
And I think there's real power in that. So thank you very much for sharing so much of your story with us today.
Cool. That's deep.
It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, that was cool.
Cheers, Lani.
Signing out.
That's us.
Yeah.